Hey, how about that? Is there some sound now? Brilliant. Sorry about that. I was just saying, the bit that you missed was that I never know whether the sound and vision works, and I've now turned on the sound, so hopefully you can now hear me. And not only that, look, I actually had a big old sticker that said mic on. So there we go. One day maybe I'll remember that. Must be my age. Anyway, hopefully you can hear me now. I do apologise for that. And the other little apology to make is the fact that I'm here at a bit of a strange time, UK-wise, 3 p.m. UK time, which I know isn't ideal for most of my UK viewers, but sorry about that. You just have to make do with the recorded version this time. Just overbooked myself on this particular month, so next time we'll resort to the usual timing. Just downloaded an app on my iPhone, tells you what time it is elsewhere. It's quite odd. So at the moment here in the UK, 3 o'clock, of course. New York, 10 a.m, so maybe we'll get some US viewers. That would be good. Tokyo, 11 o'clock at night. Sydney, midnight. Sorry, Australian viewers about that. Maybe we'll get one or two. San Francisco, 7 a.m, so maybe some early risers on the west coast. And oddly, in New Delhi, India, 7:30. So how does that work? Half past the hour in New Delhi. Very strange. Anyway, usual stuff applies. I'm going to go through loads of questions. I've got some questions that were not addressed during my last live stream in July. I'm going to cover some of those off. And I got quite a lot of questions as well. And I did a little promo video that you may or may not have seen yesterday, which was a bit of a shout out for some questions as well. So I've got those as well. And of course, I want to do the live stuff. So before I get into all that, let's just read a couple of your comments coming through. Glyn Taylor, hello to you. Good time for Perth, Western Australia. Excellent. Great. Sydney's on. Doris, hiya Doris. We've got Ontario, Canada. Garth, brilliant. Blimey, this is amazing. What else have we got here? Came home early to watch Ian. Oh, good man. I think you may be my number one fan, but thank you very much for doing that. Just gone midnight where Sharp Benz is. Whereabouts are you, Sharp Benz? I can't remember where you are. I know you're a regular contributor to the channel. I really should know who you are. Dallas, Texas, Sri Lanka, 7:31. That's odd. Another one with a half past time zone. Maybe you can tell us how that works in Sri Lanka. Bath, hi Lee, not at work, good man. What else? Detroit, London, Colombia, absolutely amazing. Scottish Borders, time zone there's the same. Kingston upon Thames, Pippa Miles, lovely place. Used to live there myself, just down one of the river roads towards Surbiton. Yeah, good place. Warwickshire's on, Seaford, Dallas, Houston, Texas, Melbourne, blimey, all over the place. Oh, even Hemel Hempstead, brilliant. Okay, that's enough of that then for now. I'll come back to the comments in a minute. Do keep them coming. Absolutely fantastic that so many people are able to watch live. Okay, so that's that. And then at the end of the video, as usual, or recording, whatever you call these things, I shall do some parish notices, just some little updates about what's coming on the Missenden Flyer in the next few days and weeks, and some sort of bits of news about the channel generally. All right, so to some questions then. These are just a couple to start us off with that were left over from, as I say, the previous live stream we did in July. This is from Scandi_MC. Hello, Scandi. What's the meaning of the channel name? Scandi asks. Good question. Glad you asked. And it's something that some of you have probably worked out, I hope. I didn't think it was that cryptic. But the Missenden Flyer, I thought it worked on a number of levels. Number one, I live in a place called Great Missenden, which is in Buckinghamshire here in the UK. So that's where the Missenden bit comes from. And the Flyer bit is because I'm a pilot. My other hobby, other than motorcycling, is flying. So Missenden Flyer seemed to work in that respect. And then the other thing was, it kind of reminded me of the names like they used to give steam trains in the 1950s and stuff. So the Missenden Flyer sounds like the Flying Scotsman or something like that, doesn't it? So to me, it sort of gave me an impression of speed and machinery as well, so that kind of worked with the motorcycling thing in my brain somehow. So hopefully that makes sense. Missenden Flyer for me worked on a number of levels. Hope that now makes sense for you as well. It's not just that I fly around on my motorbike. I do actually fly. And by the way, if you are interested in some flying videos, I've got some very little watched videos in a playlist down below, which are all about my flying, so you can check out some of my flying activities there. So thank you, Scandi MC, for that question. All right, just have a quick look back at some of the comments. I love the fact that you can actually talk to me while I'm doing this. This is brilliant. Somebody Dorking, hello there, Mark. Afternoon from Lincoln, Kevin. Hello, Kevin. Not at work as well. Good one. Hello, Robbie Jr. Nate Davis. The name fits perfect. Thank you, Nate. I'm glad you understand. Oh, Nashville, Jim. Brilliant. Lee, any chance we get a long-term review of Aprilia RSV4? Lee, yes, I know you've asked me about this before as well. There absolutely is a chance, a very good chance now, because I've had somebody from a dealer contact me that said they'd be very happy for me to borrow Aprilias. So I'm hoping to sort that out. It's going to probably be early autumn before we actually see that, just because schedule-wise I've got a lot coming up. But yes, Lee, definitely the Aprilia RSV4 and the Tuono are going to be long-term bikes. I hope. I say definitely. I mean, as far as I'm aware, that's going to happen. Oh, hello, Simon from St Lucia. Brilliant. Darlington, Scottish Borders is there. Buffalo, Robbie Jr. Adam Bainbridge. Hi, mate. It's Adam. I'm finally awake for an episode. Long-time listener. Love it. Excellent, Adam. I love the way you say long-time listener. It's like some sort of radio phoning, isn't it? Good. All right, thanks for that. I'll come back to that in a second. So next question from last time, from somebody called Chris Griggs. Hi, Chris. Thanks very much for your question. Do any of your piloting skills transfer to your drone flying? Great question. And simple answer, Chris, no. It has to be said, the drone flying is nothing like flying anything else I've ever flown. I think more skills that transfer over to the droneage stuff that I did in my last little tour, the Western Isles one, are actually my photography skills, if indeed I have any. The thing with the drone stuff is not only have you got to fly the physical thing, which is quite tricky if you've not flown a remote controlled aircraft before. It can sort of scramble your brain a bit. Not only have you got to do that, but you've also got to think about the composition of the pictures you're taking and all that kind of stuff. So it's quite complicated flying the drone. I've had it for some time and did quite a lot of practice flying before I launched it on that Western Isles trip and brought you those first few pictures, which I was really pleased how they came out. So yeah, long answer to a simple question. No, the piloting skills don't transfer to the drone flying. It's a whole different kettle of fish. You have to start all over again when you start with a drone. But it's great fun if you're at all interested in remote control aircraft or indeed photography or both preferably, then get yourself a drone if you can. They're absolutely great. And there's all sorts of new ones coming out on the market now. You don't have to spend an absolute fortune on them anymore. Let me just have a look at a quick couple of comments coming in. Stephen Boron, I love doing ILS approaches on my bike. Sorry, I'm wearing my glasses. I couldn't quite read what he said there. Hey from Brighton. Hello, Isaac. What else have we got coming in? What's the worst bike you've ever ridden? From Malcolm Lowe. Now, that's a naughty question, really, isn't it? The worst bike I've ever ridden, I think, is probably... I'm trying to remember what it's called now. I can't remember the correct full name of it, but it's a Royal Enfield, and it's the one that looks like a cafe racer. Is it the 500 Sport, something like that? Of course, it depends what you mean by worse. The Royal Enfields have an awful lot of character, and in the case of the classic 500, I like the character. That was great, and I'm looking forward to riding the new Interceptor if and when we ever see that much promised bike. I think it's being pushed out further and further into the future as far as I can hear. But yeah, the cafe racer bike was pretty horrible, to be fair. They are what they are, Royal Enfields. They sell at relatively cheap prices, and they're big old engines with single cylinders, so they're a bit thumpy. But yeah, that I think it's the Sport 500, something like that. That was a horrible bike. So yeah, thanks for that question. What else? The Continental. Thank you very much from White Rock Triumph. That was the one, the Continental 500. That's exactly it. Thumper 1222, have you tried a Harley yet, matey? No, I haven't. I really want to do that, and it gets asked every time I do a live stream or put up one of my little bike news things. People say Harley. I must do it. Not only that, but I also like to ride some Indians, and I might have a little route into that as well. So it will happen. I thought I was going to do it this summer, and all of a sudden summer has almost passed us by, but I just got to get that sorted. There's so many things I've got ideas for doing on this channel, so many things that I'd like to do, some of which we'll cover in a minute. It's just getting time and space to do it all. Anyway, let's get another question done, then I'll come back to some more comments again. Fiona the Muddy. Hello, Fiona. Thank you for your comment or question. What do you use to keep your exhaust shiny in summer? Do you still use ACF 50 outside of winter? Great question. And the answer to the second part about ACF 50 outside of winter is no, I don't ACF 50 my bikes in the summer, only because it's a corrosion inhibitor. I tend not to ride in the wet if I can help it. There's not salt on the roads in the summer, so you don't really need ACF 50 then. I'd usually do my first application of ACF 50 October, November time, or if I see a gritter out, then I would do it. And then I maybe do it 2 applications per bike through the winter, and then that's it. Let me just check what's happening on the stream health. Let me know if anything goes wrong in terms of sound or picture again. Again, apologies for my little sound faux pas at the opening there. Can't believe I didn't turn the mic on. I even had a little note that said turn mic on. Nuts. Anyway, so that was the first bit of Fiona's question. What was the other bit? Oh, what do you do to keep your exhaust shiny in the summer? Well, I don't do anything special. I just clean the bikes regularly. If I go out on the bike and it gets particularly dirty, then I do clean it. As you may know if you've watched my videos for a while, I am a little bit anal stroke OCD. Well, neither of those things really, but I do like to ride clean bikes. So I don't do anything special. I just give them a proper wash. Use the 2-bucket method. If you don't know what that is, then Google my video on how to wash a motorcycle, and then dry it, of course, with a bike dryer, an essential bit of kit, and that's pretty much it. If the exhaust does get really grim and starts to discolour, and I want to get it back to the normal stainless steel look, then I do use a metal cleaner, and I use that little tube of stuff. Again, I can't remember what it's called. It's the metal cleaner that everybody uses. I'm sure somebody here must use it as well. If you remember what it's called, let me know. It's a little white tube. Anyway, it might come to me later on. But anyway, yeah, so that's what I use for that. So thank you, Fiona. All right, back to the live stream, see what we've got coming in here. Thank you, James. Said the stream's going well, so that's good. I think technically you mean. Hey, Lamb Chop, right. Hi, Steve. Good man. Excellent. Lamsey is well in on the subterfuge, so let's not go too far on that because now you know I'm not called Steve. Autosol, that was it. Thank you very much. Oh, Lamb Chops, what are you doing not at work, by the way? I thought you had a full-time job. What's going on? Autosol from Isaac. Yeah, thank you. Hello from Detroit. Hello, Detroit R670. Hello, trolley bus driver. What else? Got any more questions coming on? Question, here we are, from Dave Nolan. Had you ridden all three, and if you only had space in your garage for one, which would you choose? Street Triple RS, 790 Duke, or MT09 SP? Wow, what a great question. I love all those bikes, as you know. But if I didn't own a Street Triple, I think having ridden all three, I would get a Street Triple. I think out of those three, that is the bike for me that handles best and looks best and sounds best. It's got the best of all worlds. So things like the KTM 790 handles beautifully. It's brilliant value for money, great on the technology front. But for me, the looks just don't quite do it for me. It doesn't look as good as, say, its big brother, the Super Duke are. So the 790, great bike. All those bikes are great bikes, by the way. Just doesn't, for me, look as nice as the Street Triple. The MT09 SP, again, fabulous bike to ride. Really did like that. And I perhaps prefer that over the 790. I know there's a lot of stuff at the moment on the interwebs, in the press, about the 790, how good it is. And it is a great bike. But I think the MT09 SP is pretty close to it. And I would possibly prefer the MT09 SP over the KTM, again, on a looks thing. But again, out of all that lot, I go for the Triumph personally. They're all brilliant bikes. You wouldn't go wrong with any of those. Just go for the one you like the look of, because you'll be very, very happy. They're all great bikes. Thank you very much for M for that super chat. Thank you very much indeed. That is much appreciated. Those super chat things, I don't really know how they work because I've never watched a live stream myself before. But I presume there's some sort of donate button or something, and money gets thrown at me, and it's brilliant. That sort of thing keeps fuel in my tank, means I can keep going with the channel. So thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. All right, let's get back to some questions from before, and then we'll come back to the live stream again. Steve Hunt, how are the Road Tech 01s on your GS going? These are the tyres that I fitted. I had a puncture on my previous set of tyres, which were Avon Spirit STs, I think they were called. So I went for the Road Tech 01s, mainly because, and these are tyres from Metzler, by the way. I went for these because they'd won the MCN Best Touring Tyre of the Year for, I think, 2 years running. And I fitted these before I went on the Western Isles trip. The Western Isles trip up to Scotland, I did about probably about 1,500 miles in total. I've since ridden the GS day to day, and I've now been to the Arctic Circle and back. Spoiler alert there, I did make it to the Arctic Circle if you're watching that series. That's my Friday series, more about that later. And the Arctic Circle trip was another 3,500, so I must have done on those now 5,500, 6,000 miles easily, and I have to say, Steve, they've been fantastic. They are the most longest wearing tyres I've ever had, in terms of, when you look at them, there's not a lot of wear there. There's a little bit of squaring off now. I thought when I got back from the Norway trip, they would be absolutely shot, but there's loads of life left in them there. A little bit of squaring off, as I say, on the rear one. No sign of wear at all on the front one. I think I've got another 1,000, 2,000 miles at least out of those, and if that's the case, I end up getting 8,000 miles out of a set of tyres on the GS, then that's going to be the best set in terms of longevity that I've ever had. So yeah, the Metzler Road Tech 01s are going really, really well, thanks Steve, and I think I'll talk about that actually in later episodes on the trip. Okay, back to the live stream. What we got here then? The Painter, reckon you test the new Honda Monkey? Love to. There's been a few tests of those, and there was the MCN one I saw, and I saw RJ riding it as well. I love the looks. Well, I say I love the looks of it. I'm not sure I do love the looks of it. I like the idea of it, the small bike, the light bike, and the fun factor. Not completely sure I think it looks as cool as everybody makes out. Hey, Ian, thank you very much, sir. Very kind of you. Some more petrol for the tank. Brilliant. So yeah, I would love to ride that monkey bike though. I think it's just over $4,000, which is quite a lot of money, isn't it, I suppose, for a little tiny bike. But I've been riding a 125 a lot in the last couple of weeks. I've just this morning, in fact, been back to Suzuki to take back the GSXR 125 that I've been borrowing. And I have to say, that bike's been an awful lot of fun. Proper sports bike, and only a 125. When I originally knew I was going to ride it, I thought, well, this isn't going to be, very interesting. But actually, proper chuckable bike. And you shouldn't dismiss low capacity bikes just because they're low capacity, because you can use them to the max. I thrashed that 125 I've just been borrowing everywhere. Full throttle on corners. It was a lot of fun. I had a big grin on my face. And I imagine the monkey bike is much the same. So yeah, I'd love to have a go. If I'm able to do so, I would love to ride it. The issue with borrowing 125s from dealers, though, is that they don't often have demo bikes, because 125s often are seen as beginner or learner bikes. And of course, if they have learner bikes in the showroom to lend out for test rides, they're going to attract learners to come and ride them, and they don't, and they'll have to turn them down because they haven't got a license. They don't want to give them the bike. So this is what one dealer told me anyway. So you tend to find there aren't that many dealers that have 125s as demo bikes, so they're quite hard to find things like a monkey bike to ride. In the case of the monkey bike, of course, it's more of an enthusiast machine, perhaps maybe not aimed squarely at beginner riders, so perhaps they will have some of those, because I think they're going to sell like hotcakes, aren't they? From the reviews I've seen, everybody thinks they're great. I think they'll probably fly off the shelves, and yeah, I'd love to have a go at one. Excuse me, just have a swig. Right, back to the live stream. Oh no, that was a live stream one. I'll come back to that in a second. Let me just go back to the questions from before. So some questions now from that little promo video that I put up yesterday that I've now deleted, so don't bother going to look at it because it's gone now. Bad Shot UK 72. Crikey, that's quite a name. Hi, buddy. Do you have any plans to review any older bikes, maybe second-hand, dealer-supplied touring bikes in the range of us mere mortals? Yes, this is a question that comes up time and time again, so I won't dwell on it. But yes, I do want to do older bikes. A bit like the previous question, it's just a matter of getting time. Logistics of doing older bikes is quite difficult because you've got to find them. But I have got in my mind this little series that I want to do called Reader's Rides. Cracks me up, the Reader's Rides thing. I'm sorry, I like to laugh at my own jokes. But I want to do a Reader's Rides things where I get people, either I go to them or they bring their bike to me, and we do a little review of their bike. They tell me what they've done to the bike, how long they've had it, what they like about it, what they don't like about it. And ideally, maybe I get to ride it as well if they'll let me at the end. A little 20-minute video like that I think would work really well, and I could do that on some of the older popular bikes. So I definitely want to do that because so many people have asked me about doing older bikes. I think it would probably be relatively popular. So I might put a shout out in the next few weeks on Facebook or Twitter for people that have got bikes that they think others might like to see. I've already had some people offer them, by the way, and I've got one or two in mind already that I could do this with. If you're relatively local to Great Missenden, say within 20 miles, and you don't mind coming to my place into the man cave and us doing a little video one evening, then that would be great. So I might put a little shout out about that soon. Not quite yet, because I just, at the moment, I've got a booked schedule ahead. Unbelievably, I have a little schedule of what videos are going out, and at the moment I think I've got videos planned up until about, well, into December. So I've got no slots. You're not going to see anything soon, but obviously I'd like to start to record those. So we'll see. So yeah, I have got plans. Bad Shot UK. I will do that at some point. Okay, back to the live stream then for a moment. North Will thinks that's a good idea. Brilliant. Thank you, North Will. Readers what? Readers Rides, Ian. Readers Rides. You obviously remember where that came from. What else we got? What about visiting a few of the small... Oh, sorry, that one disappeared. Maybe that'll come back again. Comment just disappeared off the top. G-Man's Bikes and Bits. Hello there. Good to catch you. I'm off work this week. Yeah, right. I've been taking the new CRF 250L off-road and loving it. As the mud has returned. Brilliant. Can't remember where you're based, G-Man. Not too much mud around here yet. It's quite a sunny day again, due to rain tomorrow. But we've had a absolutely cracking summer here in the UK, and most of Europe as well. For those of you watching abroad, it's you know what, Englishmen's we love talking about the weather, don't we? Well, this year we really have had something to talk about. It's been sort of 30 degrees constantly for about 3 months. It's only this week that it started to cool down. It's been absolutely fantastic, but it doesn't look like the green and pleasant England out there that it should do. It's like a load of straw. Okay, one more question from the promo video from yesterday. Iam or Lamb Mono. Again, I'll be intrigued to know where these names come from. Lamb Mono. Have you ever been approached to work on local radio? You have a voice for drive time. Well, thank you very much, Lamb Mono. No, funny enough, I haven't been approached to work on local radio. Although, in years gone by, I did used to think that may be where my future lied. Oh, thank you, Paul. Another super chat. Thank you very much indeed. Much appreciated. So when I was, years ago, back when I was a student, I did in fact work for the BBC at a radio station. I thought that's where my future lay. And then I got swayed by earning money and chased the money instead, which I think probably turned out to be a good thing. And funnily enough, that's partly why I now enjoy doing these live streams so much, because it sort of satiates my desire that I used to have to be a radio presenter. There you go. I'll put it all on the line now. I know it sounds bizarre to some people maybe, but I love radio, and I thought that being a radio presenter was the way. I've got the face for radio, so that was where I was hoping to go. Never did it, but now YouTube's come along, and I can suddenly broadcast to the world. And to all intents and purposes, my study here these days doesn't look a whole lot different from what a modern day radio station looks like. So there we go. So thank you, Lamb Mono. Great question. So no, I haven't been approached, but more's a pity because I would love to have been a radio presenter. Anyway, times have moved on now, I guess. All right, back to the live stream. What have we got here? James Fisher, what is your occupation? This comes up all the time. I've got, at the moment, multiple occupations. On the one hand, I'm a full-time YouTuber, but you can't... so that, I guess, is my occupation, strictly speaking, because it occupies me. I spend a lot of hours on this channel, you wouldn't believe. I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. But it's not how I make my money. I make some money doing this. I have some sponsors. I get a little bit of money from Google, from advertising, but you don't get enough to live on doing this. It's not something... Unless you're, broadcasting makeup tips to teenagers, which I'm not that good at, then you can't really make a living doing YouTube about motorcycling in the UK. Well, certainly I can't anyway. But I do get some useful, some extra cash from that. I also have a couple of businesses that I run. I don't want to go into details for privacy reasons. I've talked about this before, which make the bulk of my money. Previous to this, I was a freelance project manager in sales and marketing, and that's kind of how I made enough money so I could effectively retire and spend my time doing this. So hopefully that answers the question anyway. Okay, what else have we got on here? The Steve Allen of motorcycling. Thank you, Ian. Oh, wow. Steve Allen, what a top man. Again, when I was a student back in the days that I lived in Kingston upon Thames, I went to Kingston Polytechnic. Remember those? I used to listen to Steve Allen in my student digs of an evening. I was a huge fan of Steve Allen, LBC, back when the LBC was proper. Brilliant. Top Gear old or new from Jason G? Well, I've got to say old, because let's face it, that was the old and original, and we all love that stuff, and I now love the Grand Tour. But I have to say, now the Ginger Whinger has gone off of new Top Gear on the BBC, I like that as well. Those guys, they properly know cars, don't they? And they do a great job. The production values are amazing there still from the BBC. I like both those shows now, so I'll watch both. Would love to see some makeup tips for bikers and also hairstyling tips. Thank you, Scottish Girl Biker. Very kind of you. I hope you're not referring to my hairstyle. I had another question from somebody. I'll get to it in a minute, perhaps. Somebody asked who does my hair. Very, very funny. Alrighty. Okay, yeah, I can't remember if I was on the pre-questions or the other ones now. I'll come back to the live stream again in a minute. Before that, better check the time. 20 minutes I've been rambling on. God, I could do this for hours. Let me know if you want me to carry on. I always earmark half an hour to do this, and I seem to ramble on usually for 45 minutes an hour. We'll see how it goes. Alrighty, next question then from the pre-what's-it ones. Brent W. Hi, TMF. What do you think of the idea of using a Z900 RS for touring? Well, I think it's a cracking idea. You can use any bike for touring, can't you? Some are better than others, obviously. Comfort is the main thing, I guess. And then ability to carry stuff. Well, the Z900 RS, which is the Kawasaki, the retro bike that came out last year, and I absolutely love. I think it's my favourite retro bike at the moment, I think. Really beautiful bike. It's got a very comfortable seat, riding position, nice and upright, so no problem from a comfort point of view to tour on it. The only issue, of course, is luggage. Not sure Kawasaki do luggage for that one, but there'll be aftermarket panniers you can throw over or put a rucksack on, or do like I did on my recent Arctic trip. I got a roll top bag from a company called Go Gravel, of which I'll do a review about that soon, and I just strapped that to the back of my bike instead of taking panniers, and it worked much better than panniers ever did because it was much lighter. So Z900, comfy seat, roll bag on the back strapped on, you'll be absolutely fine for touring. I think you'd have a great time. Not only would it be comfortable enough for touring, but when you got to the great roads, it would be a right hoot as well to rip around the roads. So yeah, nice, good question, Brent. Thanks for that. Okay, back to the live stream. What we got coming on here? I went touring on a scooter, says Daniel 2K. I wonder where that name comes from as well. Well done. Yeah, exactly. You can tour on anything, can't you? Who was that person that did the round the world on the C90? It's possible. Well, let's face it, people walk around the world, don't they? Or skateboard, roller skate. Raphael, hi TBF, just passed the A2. Well done. Would love to hear your thoughts on the SV650 for a first bike. I assume, Raphael, you've seen my recent SV650 videos. I've posted 3 in the last couple of weeks. I had that bike, borrowed that long term from Suzuki, or for an in-depth sort of review, I should say. I had it for a few weeks, about a month ago. I love that bike, and I think as a first bike it would be absolutely brilliant. It is quite performant though. It's a 650cc, relatively high power motorcycle for a first bike. So I would say yes, I think it would be a great first bike. I don't know how old you are, what your experience is, etc. But just be careful to start with. First month is when you're going to be in the danger zone. Get used to it, enjoy it. Great bike as a first bike. I think you would absolutely love it, and I think you'd probably be good on that for a year or two before you got fed up with it. One other thing, I'll talk more on a later question if I get time to get to it, about choosing your first bike and what's good and what's not so good about them. I have some quite strong views about what you should do on your first bike, and I'll talk about those in a minute. Right, back to the live stream then, what we got coming in. Scottish Girl Biker, it's a popular training bike. Yeah, the SV650, yeah, I think it is. And it's a great looking bike as well. I don't know if you saw the one that I borrowed. It was black with a red frame. It looked like a little Ducati monster. It was brilliant. Nice, I like the headlight. It looks like a proper bike should look. You skipped my super chat first. Sorry, Mendoza, Blimey, I'm not quite sure how I get that back. I do apologise, but thank you very much indeed. If you let me know what the question was again, I'll definitely try and get to it. Oh, by the way, if I do miss any questions on here, these comments that now get posted a little while after the video is posted on YouTube, I will read those through again, and I'll make sure that I pick up any questions for next time. So apologies, I missed your super chat. I will have a look at it there, and thanks again very much for that. Okay, Ollie, have you ever been on an H2R? No, I haven't. I have been on the touring version, the H2SX, which was an interesting bike. I mean, it's obviously supercharged, so turbine smooth engine, fast as you like. And I've been reading in today's MCN. They've got an article about the 2019 H2 that's coming out with much more horsepower than the old one. So no, I've not ridden one of those yet. Again, may get the chance to do so. My issue with that bike, really, number one, it's got too much power for the road, isn't it, really? The new one, I think, has got 238 brake horsepower. Nuts. You don't need that much on the road. I would kill myself. And then the other thing is, I just don't think they look that good. And for me, at least half of what makes a bike desirable is the way it looks. And if you don't like the look of a bike, you ain't going to buy it. So no matter how good it is, it's back to the previous discussion about the KTM 790. Brilliant bike. Just doesn't float my boat looks-wise very much. It's not ugly, but it's not a looker either. Which is why, for example, I've got the Ducati Panigale in the garage. Maybe not the best bike ever to ride. It's not that easy to ride, but my goodness me, it looks good, and therefore I bought it. I'm going to keep it. Okay, moving on. What do we got? 444 are watching now. Well, 445 actually. I've got a little number there that comes up and tells me how many are watching. So 445 people watching this time of day. That is fantastic. Thank you very much. What else have we got? Are you still thinking of a bike build over winter, says Dark Lard 999. Love that name. Yes, I'm thinking about it. It's there's a number of things there. One, I'm completely skill-less when it comes to technical stuff on bikes. I would quite like to know. I mean, I can do the basic stuff and oil change and things like that and sort your chain out, what have you. But when it comes to stripping down an engine and rebuilding it, I don't know where to start. So, but luckily here on YouTube and the interwebs, there are a wealth of people that do know how to do that stuff. And I think I've got enough subscribers out there now and viewers that perhaps you could help me out. So if I did strip something down, I could sort of put it to their house as to, how I deal with whatever problem I've got coming up. So I would love to do that. It's a matter of how do I find the bike, what sort of bike would I do, and the cost of the thing. Space as well is a bit of an issue in the garage. But yeah, I'd love to do that. We'll see how that goes. I mean, I can't do everything, so I won't do readers' rides and a stripped down bike. I was going to say wrecked bike rebuild then, but I won't say that. But certainly one or the other of those, and riding Harleys and all the other stuff. I've got to do all that stuff. There's so much to do, isn't there? So little time, so many good ideas. Okay, back to one more of the pre-what's it questions. Let me just tick these ones off so now I've done them. Doc Green 49. Hello, Doc Green. I'll be with you tomorrow. So here's a question. Oh, hello. Hope you're watching. I ultimately want to tour. I have a Cruiser, a Speedmaster, a Naked, an MT-09 SP. Nice choices. But they are not for long distance touring. I'd agree with that. What would you recommend? You seem to be leaning towards the Baby GS rather than the 1200 lately. Your views would be most welcome. Best of luck for tomorrow. Thank you, Doc Green. Needed some luck with the sound earlier. Didn't work. Well, when you say I seem to be leaning towards a Baby GS rather than the 1200, that's not necessarily true. That Baby GS, the F850 GS, isn't it, is what it's called, is a lovely bike. When you sit on it, it feels exactly like the big GS. So you're not losing much, and it's much better value. That's why I was leaning towards it. If money is an issue, and let's face it, for most of us it is, then there's nothing wrong with that Baby GS. That would be the one to go for. Top value, much better. Money, no object, and you've got, let's say, 18 grand to splash, then go for the 1200 if you want to do big tours. It's always nice to have more power, isn't it, when you're doing these long distances. So yeah, I would have the 1200 over the 850 if money was no object. But if it were a factor, then the smaller bike, you're not losing much. You're getting most, if not all, of the technology of the big bike. It's an amazing bit of kit. All right, so that was that one. Thank you, Doc Green, for that. Okay, let's come back to the live stream, see what's happening here. The cool dude, have you heard of the stop order on the BMW 310S? No. Oh, actually, or did I? I saw something. I did read something about this yesterday. I don't know any details about it. I just caught that this had happened, which I assume means that they're stopping producing them for some reason, or stopping selling them. I don't know if there's been a recall or a safety issue. I'm sure it'll hit the bike press in the next few weeks, and we'll find out more. So, yeah, interesting that. We'll see what happens. And the interesting thing, of course, about that is that those ones are built in India, which I never see as an issue, but you can bet if there's some issue with the manufacturing or they come up with a problem, that's going to, the blame is going to be, it's because it's built in India, which I'm sure isn't the issue, but you can just see that that's going to be some of the criticism aimed at it. Okay, what else we got? What is your favourite, most functional accessory on your GS from Ian McKay? Cool. That is a good question. I did do a video on my top 5 GS accessories once, I think many years ago. Might be worth hooking that out. And I don't know what I said then. I can't remember now. I've got a few things I like on it. I guess the number one thing would be the sat-nav, if that counts. I know you have to buy it from BMW and it's expensive. It's sort of 650 quid or something. I've got the Nav 5, the Nav 6 is out now, but they're much the same. Brilliant bit of kit, because of the way it integrates with the bike, with the little whiz wheel on the BMW. It just, it's not great as a GPS, I thought, although I've revised that opinion slightly since my trip up to the Arctic Circle, where it worked admirably well. But it also works really well as a sort of motorcycle information system. The fact that it gives you details on what your tyre pressures are, all sorts of metrics you can get up on there. There's something, there's about 30 different metrics you can get on the screen. It works sort of like on my GS, which has got the old analog screens, which are really hard to read. I usually ride with the speed in massive numbers on the sat-nav, so it acts almost like a TFT screen, if you like. So yeah, this sat-nav is my number one accessory on the bike, no doubt about that. All right, let's have a look. Between Tracer 900 GT and Triumph 800 XR, this is from Rajnish, what would you choose? I can only afford one. Well, you only need one. Triumph 800 XR or Tracer 900 GT? Tough one. Oh, thank you, Michelin star. Very, very much appreciated. I think I would go for... Tricky. I'm a Triumph fan. The Triumph feels a bit more of a solid bike, but I was well impressed with that Tracer GT. If you get one with the solid colours, not the grey and white one, which is the one I rode, because I don't think that looks so good. That I think would be the one I'd go for out of those two. Michelin star, thank you very much for your super chat. Very kind. Would you go for the 750 GS or 850 GS? Now, unfortunately, I can't really answer that because I can't remember the differences. One's the more off-roady one with the spoke wheels, isn't it? Slightly higher ride height. One's not. I can't remember which way around it is. Otherwise, they're effectively the same bike. And they have these really confusing numbering scheme for the BMW, don't they? So I don't know is the answer. I would, as I don't ride off-road on big adventure bikes very much unless I have to, then I would probably go for the more on-road focused one if it's a little bit lower, whichever one that is. I assume that's the 750, but I may be wrong, so sorry for a bit of a rubbish answer, but that is the answer to that one. All right, I'll come back to the live stream again in a minute. Thanks to those. How are we doing on time? Looking all right, 33 minutes and 460 people watching, apparently. Unbelievable. If I thought about that too much, I would absolutely crap myself and stop doing this. Okay, next, Graph162. Love all your vids. Thank you very much. You obviously didn't see the one about pannier brackets. Any chance you are XRAF? No, there's no chance I'm XRAF. Sadly, Graph, although I love aeroplanes and I like the RAF, I'm absolutely rubbish when it comes to taking discipline. Well, let me qualify it. Discipline of the military kind. There's certain disciplines that I love. But so, no, I'm not ex-RAF or any ex-services. So, no, I'm not. Simple answer to that. What else have we got here? Jim Smith. Would you do another tour with a guide? Yes, I would, Jim. And that, I guess, is referring to the fact that I just did this. I mentioned the Arctic Circle trip, which is my series that's currently going up on Fridays. I get a lot of people asking when's the next Norway tour going up. Every Friday it's going to be for the next at least 7 weeks. I'm working on episode 9 as we speak. So, yeah, but to the question, would I do it with a tour guide again? Yes, I 100% would, and I'll tell you why. Because in the case of that Arctic Circle trip, I wanted to go up to Norway and the Arctic Circle for ages. But when I looked a couple of years back, it seemed very, very complicated to get there. There's no direct ferry, for example, from the UK to Norway like there used to be. There used to be one, I think, that went from Hull to Trondheim or Bergen, something like that, which would have been brilliant, but that no longer exists. So you have to go via mainland Europe and then get either, go through Denmark, cross bridges and up through Sweden, but you do get to go over the bridge that way, which would be good, or you have to get a series of ferries like I did on this trip. So there's all that to sort out. And then when you get to Norway, now I've done it, it seems easy, but when you're thinking about it when you've not been there, it's it's just a bit daunting. How does it work there with language? As it turns out, every Norwegian speaks better English than I do, so that's no worries. How does it work out with fuel? How does it work out with money, etc., etc.? There's it's gonna be a long trip. That one, it took me over 2 weeks, and we did a lot of hours in the saddle. So it's 2 to 3 weeks that trip if you're doing it from the UK. That's an awful lot of hotels to book and find and select, an awful lot of routes to work out. It just, when I looked at it myself to do it as a lone tour a couple of years back, I thought I'd love to do it, but you know what? That's such a hassle to organise. So doing an organised tour like I did, it just takes all the pain away from it. You literally turn up and go. I went with a company called Motorrad Tours, which were brilliant because they sent, not only did you get a tour guide who knows what he's doing and can help you out with any problems you have. But also you get printed maps, you get route guides. They have all the routes are pre-planned on a GPS file, which they send to you, so you pre-plan that. Well, hotels are booked for you in advance. They've selected all the hotels so they know that they're good. They know which towns you're staying in. They've worked out all the routes so the timings are about right. They sort all the ferries out for you, know what the timetables are. So all that stuff. And if anything goes wrong, they're there to help you as well. So which helps a lot when you're in a foreign country, of course. So yes is the answer. That was a long answer to a simple question. Yes, I would go with a guided tour once again. Let me just have a swig of tea. All right, now I'll come back to the live stream in a second. Let me just... cross that one off. That was from Jim Smith. Thank you, Jim. Okay, back to the live stream. Graham, do your blogs for fun, or are there financial rewards? Yes, and small yes. So like I mentioned earlier, yes, I do it mainly for fun. Before I stopped working full time, I did this for fun anyway. It was sort of a hobby. For a number of reasons it was a hobby. Number one, I love photography. I've always been a photographer. I want to teach myself how to edit videos. So I started to do a bit of video editing, and then YouTube came along and the two kind of married together. So there was that. I want to teach myself editing and enjoy photography. The other thing was, as I mentioned before, I had this not secret harbour, because many people know about it, but I used to want to be a broadcaster, and this seemed a way of, to some degree, satisfying that craving. I don't know why. It sounds a bit odd, doesn't it, to want to do that? But there we go, I did, and this helps with that. And I just enjoy it. It's just good fun. And also, obviously, I love riding the bikes. I love flying the planes and filming them, editing them, broadcasting them, responding to comments. It's all great stuff. Oh, Rutger, thank you very much indeed. Very kind of you. Have a drink on me. Your videos bring me lots and others plenty of joy. That's very kind of you, Rutger. And that's the other thing. That's the other great thing. Most of the comments and feedback that you get when you're in this game are ones of great love and affection, which is fantastic. Of course, when you put yourself out there and you go onto YouTube, of course you get hate comments. I'm not to say more than my fair share, because I don't get more than my fair share, but I do get a lot of hate comments as well. I've stopped Googling myself long ago, because if you go to forums and things, it's unbelievable what people will say about you when they don't know you or the circumstances. But you've got to kind of let those wash over you to a degree. You've got to have very thick skin to be in this game, which luckily I have. So that's fine. But yeah, it's something I do for fun. But the second part of your question, yes, there are... financial rewards. As I mentioned before, you do get some money from Google for advertising. You can get money from things like sponsorship, which I get a little bit, but again, you don't get loads. You certainly don't get enough to live on. So it's not if you're doing it in a motorcycle world, you can't make a living doing this. Well, I don't think you can anyway. All right, what next then? Scottish Girl Biker, definitely do a 125 tour. Funny enough, when I was riding that 125 back to Suzuki today in Milton Keynes, I was thinking exactly that. I could have toured on that bike easily, and it would be fun, wouldn't it? It's something that worth thinking about, and it would be so cheap as well, wouldn't it? Who else have we got then? Are you doing Motorcycle Live this year? From Poacher 551. Funny you should mention that, because again, I was looking at an advert, or it's a thing online actually, for Motorcycle Live this year, and my main sponsor, Principal Insurance, aren't going this year, and last year I went with them to help them out. I was on the stand for a day, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Actually, I met lots of people, I think including Rutger actually, earlier, and it was a great day. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Time shot by, and I was kind of looking forward to it this year. But as I say, Principal aren't going this year for one reason or other, so I won't be going with them. There has been some talk about some YouTubers doing something at Motorcycle Live. Generally, one of the things I've always thought that's missing from Motorcycle Live is motorcycle vloggers, because they have that big stage, don't they, up there, the Black Horse stage, and they always have Steve Parish and all those races that they always drag out. I'm not saying anything against those guys. They're all lovely guys. I've met a few of them, including Steve. He's also a pilot, good man. So that's all fine, well and good, but it's the same thing every year, isn't it? And it's the same old faces. Yet many of us, just normal road riders, we watch more motorcycle YouTubers than those people. I personally would love to go and watch Lamb Chops having a chat, or Bruce, as he did from Teapot One. He did it last year, some talks. I'd love to go and watch that sort of stuff. So I think Motorcycle Live are missing a trick there. And there was some talk, some PR people involved in Motorcycle Live did get in touch with me and some others, and they talked about maybe we can do something. Not heard anything since. That was months ago, and given Motorcycle Live is now being advertised, I'm not sure whether that's going to happen or not. So at the moment, unless I'm asked to be there as the Missenden flyer, I possibly won't go, because I've been for the last 7-8 years running, and it's all getting a bit samey. If there's a reason for me to be there because they want some vloggers there or something, then yeah, I'll probably go. I might change my mind. It was great meeting people last year. It's all about time and everything else, what's going on at that time. All right, back to the live stuff then. Pippa Miles, dogs or cats? Is that just a general question? Cats, I think. Matthew Kimpton, 1250 GS next year. Thoughts? Possibly. I got a question from somebody else actually that asked about that and said, I can't remember who it is. I may not get to it because I think we're going to run out of time. But somebody asked, and I'm sorry that I can't find your question and your name, but is it worth getting a GSA now or waiting until this rumoured 1250 comes out next year? And my answer to that would have been, I always just buy what's available at the time. If you're going to go for a GSA, there's rumours that the 1250 is coming out. If that's true, and it probably is, then I assume that will be announced around about the October time frame when the new models always are. So we might see the first new GS October time. It won't make the shops until the following March, April, May. And then the GSA version typically follows 6 months to a year after that. So you won't get the GSA until probably 2020 at that rate. So my advice would be, if you're thinking about buying a GSA now, just buy one now. Don't wait. You might find you don't like the new bike, and the current one is perfectly good. Because that, by the time the new one comes out, there'll be rumours of another new one. You could be chasing that particular thing all the time. I bought my GS 5 years ago now. I'm still perfectly happy with it. I'm not any plans to change it. I'm hoping to run that bike for at least another 5 years or until it drops to bits. I'm not the sort of person that just chases the next new best thing. I try to get value for money out of my bike, so I ride them till they die. Really, I'm more of a collector than a swapper. Anyway, back to the live stream. Let's see how we're doing. So, 501 people watching. Thank you very much for the late joiners. Brilliant, 500. That's incredible. What else have we got here? Dave Norman recently bought a VFR 800 VTEC. What are your thoughts on slip-on systems? Fine, yeah. I haven't ridden the VFR 800 VTEC. I'd love to do so. I love the VFRs, and particularly the old ones, the Richie Vida type. I don't really have any thoughts on slip-on systems, if we're talking about exhaust, that is. Other than, why not? Go for it. Stick one on if you don't like the look of it. I've got slip-on exhaust on most of my bikes that I can think of. Not the GS, but the others. They work fine. Yeah, go for it. Okay, let me just go back to some of these pre-what's-it-did questions. I'll shut up soon, I promise. It's been going for 3/4 of an hour. What have we got? Big Ogre 50 asked, love watching your vids, always informative, thank you. But I was wondering if telling your wife you're off on jolly to Norway was met with Arctic conditions. Like we've done there. I know my wife was very frosty when I mentioned a holiday there. I'm loving your English there, Big Ogre. That's brilliant. No, my wife was not frosty. She was all for it. I think she just is pleased to be rid of me. Because of now being at home doing this YouTube game, I'm here all the time. She can't get shot at me. So I think the thought of me bogging off for a couple of weeks was a positive plus. And she seemed, very happy when I got back. Anyway, so yeah, no issues there. I obviously chose the right wife. Okay, back to the live stream. What we got here? Don't go yet, Ian. Oh, Ian, you're too kind. Okay, I'll stay on for a bit longer. Readers Rides. Okay. Welcome to Borrit, Dave Norman. Sorry, Dave, I missed which bike that was. But and are you very local? Can you pop it round one evening? Dave just love the Norwegian vids. Well, I've only done one so far. That seemed to go down quite well. I'd like to ask what items you can't travel without and what sort of puncture repair and breakdown tips. I think you said that on the it was one of my list on my printed out list here. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, good question. I don't really know what items can I not live without. Well, I can't live without a motorbike, but I certainly underpants and all that stuff. But I assume you mean what gadgets would I, do I take that I absolutely couldn't live without? So I racked my brains a bit about this when I saw your question yesterday, and I think there's not much, to be honest. I think besides the cameras and stuff, probably the best thing that I take is one of those little charger gadgets, a little USB power box. I got one made by a company called Anchor, beginning with an A, and it works a treat. I charge it. It takes ages to charge up. It's got 2 USB ports on it, but I can charge my phone, my GoPros, anything else I want to charge multiple times on that. And if you're on a trip and you don't necessarily know when you're going to get to power again, that is brilliant. I mean, I can run, off the grid for like 3 days with just that. So, that's probably my indispensable bit of kit. And I've also got a slightly larger one, which I can actually jump-start the bike with. Can't remember the manufacturer of it now, but it's a much bigger capacity one. And I can even run my laptop off that. So, yeah, those power packs for touring, thoroughly recommend those. Right, back to the pre-what's-it questions. Then I'll come back to the live stream again. Let me just check the technical stuff. Stream health, it's saying amber, so I think that's all right. Hopefully you can see and hear me okay. All right, Ray, try once more. Go on, Ray. What are you going to try again? Sorry if I missed something. Splodge, first class or second? First every time. The cool dude, your channel is great and recently discovered you and saving through all your reviews. Good man. Thank God for you, or I would have to watch the crap they put on the telly. Jolly good, thank you very much, and welcome along. What kept you? Microstart, that's the one, James. Thank you very much. It was the Microstart. It's the high capacity battery doodah thing I've got that I can jumpstart the bike with. In fact, I did a review on one of those. If you Google Microstart jumpstart, you'll probably find my review on that. What else have we got? Hey miss, why do you always say must try a Harley when there are brilliant Indian cruisers from America? I have an Indian Scout, you should try it. Yes, I should try any of those American bikes. I haven't ridden an American bike other than the Zero GSR, and look how that ended. Yeah, I absolutely should do that. And I think I mentioned that dealer earlier that's offered me some bikes. They've offered me Indians as well. So hopefully Indians, Harleys, cruisers generally, got to do those. Could you do a feature on good biking hotels in the UK? This is from Dean Mail. No reference material currently available. Maybe the viewers could help. Well, great. It's a great thing for a book, wouldn't it? Best biking hotels of Britain, and you just ride around going in all the hotels. Yeah, like that. In fact, it's not Britain, and it won't help at all, but on this Norway trip, I have specifically shown you every hotel room I think that I stay in, just to show you what they're like. So hopefully that'll be of interest. I don't know, maybe not. Loving the Arctic Circle Tour 2F. Can't wait until Friday. Thank you, Ben. I'll just mention it again because I know some people haven't twigged, but my tour videos always go up on Fridays. It's like a little Friday treat, a bit like Cracker Jack used to be. So that goes up on a Friday. As I mentioned before, I've got a number of those to come. I've only posted one so far. The middle section gets a little bit... it's a lot more of me riding, and then the end sections get much more interesting again in terms of stopping at tourist attractions. Towards the end of the series, I actually go to Belsen concentration camp. Unbelievable. So things like that are all in there as well. So there's lots to look forward to is probably not the right term in that case, but there's an awful lot to come in that series. It's not just about riding to the Arctic Circle. In fact, in my view, the good stuff comes when I return from the Arctic Circle and go down the west coast of Norway, which is absolutely Stunningsville from a biking point of view. And, well, I don't want to do any spoilers, but wait till those last episodes. Unbelievable. Okay, what else we got here? Lord Hepcat. I don't think he understands the meaning of the word. What did Lord Hepcat say? Don't know. Ian. Wow, Cracker Jack. Hey, Cracker Jack again. Yeah, great. Whatever happened to that? Okay, bored now. I'm off. You waffle on too much. Okay, thanks, Donna. Off you go then. When's the sea? You don't have to watch it all. It's not compulsory, by the way. You can go. What would be your ultimate dream tour? Well, I think it might be the one I just did, actually, so watch that. All right, now I'm getting hints from people like, I think it was Donna, that I should bog off. Maybe I should disappear very shortly. I've been on nearly for an hour. Hello, Bandit Man. Sorry you just joined. I'm going to finish very soon because people are telling me I waffle on too much. Okay, although this is what this is, isn't it? A big waffle sesh. Okay, let's go back to these pre-log questions. I knew I wouldn't get through all these. What have we got here? Mr. Stellar Monster. A long message here, but let me just pick out the main bits. He's 43 years old. He's always wanted to bike, and he's saying, is he too old to start? Absolutely not, Mr. Stellar Monster. You've got to start. 43 is not old, for goodness sake, Clive. I wish I was 43, goodness me. I'm in my very, very late 40s at this moment in time. It's a sore subject, in fact. So no, you're certainly not too old. Get yourself your licence and go and get a bike, man. You're far too young. When I look at the stats of the people that watch my videos, and this closely allies the statistics of the bikers in the UK now, most of them are a lot older than 43, trust me. So you're not too old. TV Whinger, serious question. Glad to hear it. What's your inside leg measurement? My goodness me. Looking at the GS, but I'm short at 29 inches leg. Well, my inside leg is 32 inches, so I'm quite lofty in comparison. So I'm pretty much a short ass too, but not quite as short as you. But don't fear, if you can get a new bike, if you can afford one, then of course you can go for the low suspension option, or you might be able to get a second-hand one with a low suspension option. If you're really short, which it sounds like you are, then you can get the low suspension one with a low seat. You wouldn't have a problem. These days, luckily, motorcycle manufacturers have woken up to the fact that not all of us are Dutch, and some of us are short. So you should be all right with that. Okay, right, back to the live stream then. What have we got here? I'm 67. There you go, John. You see, brilliant. Waffle as long as you like, Tara. Thank you, Adam. I could watch for 6 hours. That might be a bit over the top, but thank you for building my confidence up again. I was a little bit knocked from that previous comment, especially from Donna as well. That's the one female I had watching. Very distressing. Morgan, how long do your... Oh, disappeared. Scottish girl, but that disappeared as well. Opinions about cafe races. Let's move down then. I don't like them. That's the one genre of motorcycle I'm not that keen on. I'm sorry about that. I mean, the best cafe racer out there, let's face it, has got to be the Triumph Thruxton R. But I'm not that keen on that. It's a lovely bike. I mean, if you stuck some decent handlebars on it so you can sit upright, it would transform it into a much better option, I think. Now, I'm not a big fan of cafe races. It's just one style I don't really like. Of those sort of harping back styles that the retro bikes are going down, I like scramblers. I'm a scrambler man. So sorry about that. What else we got? Norton. Yeah, good. I don't like cafe races, says Jason. Good, well, that's you and me both. Hey TMF from Farnborough, massive fan. Oh, hey Colin. When's the air show on? Has that been? It's been now, isn't it? I bet you get a great view of that. I'd love to live in Farnborough. That would be a great thing to do. Ray restarted biking at 60, so there you go, Mr. Stella Monster. 60-year-olds can start up. You can do it at 43. You're just a kid. Get on with it. Scottish Girl Biker, only female watcher. What am I then? Oh, sorry. You're the only one left. I do apologise. Actually, I had a transgender person the other day send me a message, which was fantastic. What else we got? Dean Mao, same here. Love the cafes, hate the races. Yeah, I'm nothing against biker cafes. Trust me, give me a bacon butty, no worries. You left out a question. What breakdown service or puncture stuff do you use overseas? Oh yes, sorry about that. That was the second part of your question, wasn't it? Don't go with a breakdown service. I just trust that I can work it out. It's a bit like I just don't go with a breakdown service. But I do carry puncture repair kit underneath the seat. I always do on the GS if I'm on a long trip, just in case. It's just one of those standard little kits that you can buy together with those little, I assume it's CO2 capsules. I've got about 5 or 6 of those, so that once I've sorted the puncture, I can fill the tyre up with air and get me somewhere where I can get the tyre properly repaired or replaced. So yeah, I'll carry one of those under the seat. Sorry I missed that out of your question. Nearly retired, best look retro bike, Kawasaki Z900. Well, can't disagree with you there. Lambo, LGBT, flag and a rainbow. Fine. Good stuff. Gosh, I don't want to get too deep into that. Greetings from Johannesburg, South Africa. Oh, Johannesburg. Let me go back to my app, if it's still running. Johannesburg, 16:50, 10 to 5 there. Brilliant. So what are you doing out of work? You finished early. Actually, I've got some exciting news coming up when I do the Parish notices in a minute, in 5 minutes, because I'll have to wrap this up when an hour's up. 8 minutes then. I've got some great news. Some interesting news from South Africa, which I might tease you with. Maybe I won't give you the whole news yet, but it's to do with the bike show, if you watch that from South Africa. Okay, when you do the Picos TMF, ask Barry. It's on the list. I haven't done the Picos yet, but everybody says it's great. So yeah, got to do that. Maybe that's one for next year. Got a few that I want to do next year. I definitely want to, if I can, I want to go back to the Western Isles of Scotland, to those islands that I missed out because I messed up on the ferries, so I've got to go do that. I'd love to do the Wild Atlantic Way in Ireland. That's another one I want to do. I want to do some more Spain tours, because Spain, particularly in the winter, so I definitely want to go back to Spain again and do some more tours there. The Picos is top of my list for that as well. So yeah, hopefully maybe next year I'll get to do a Picos one. 9 a.m. in San Diego. Oh, I'd love to go to San Diego. That's one bit of California I've not been to. Hoping to come next year. I might have to tap you up for a cup of tea. Oh, you don't really do tea, do you? But yeah, San Diego, Danger Dave, nice. Ian, stay please. Midsummer Murder Tour from Pinky Werewolf. Actually, Pinky Werewolf, that's a bit of an intriguing name. You wouldn't be another female by chance, would you? I really hope you are. What else we got? Ollie, do you like the MT10 looks? Yes, I do. Again, I did a review on the MT10 SP, and that is my current favourite naked bike, believe it or not. I love the KTM Super Duke R as well, and I love the big Speed Triple. In fact, I love all big naked bikes. They're all good. But if I had to choose one, money no object, the MT10 SP is probably the one I'd currently go for. Mainly because it's a 4-cylinder bike. I don't own a 4-cylinder bike. It sounds great, it goes great. And I quite like those sort of transformery looks on that one, even though earlier I might have said I don't like transformery looks. On the MT10, I do. It's a lovely bike. Paul Farmer, you're never too old to start biking. Been riding since 17 and now 57. Go for it. Good man, Paul. Bandit Man, yeah, MT10. Bandit Man has an MT10, so he's a fan. Come up to visit Canada, Stanley says. I love Canada, been there a few times, and I will be coming again soon. One of my best friends lives in BC, so I'm hoping to get up to Edmonton in the next at least couple of years. Danger Dave, anytime. They put marijuana in the tea in San Diego. Excellent. What else we got? 10:53 in Montreal from Jean-Claude. This is like hooky duck getting a question from Jamota. Yeah, sorry about that. I've got 500 people watching and lots of people asking questions, so I'm sorry about that. But there we go. Pinky Wolf, haha, I'm a guy, but my gal came up with the name. Well, you need to give her a slapping. It's the name of a girl, for goodness sake. She thinks you're a cutie. Oh, hang on, I'm liking this now. And that we are separated twins. Oh, well, the mind boggles. The missendenflyer@gmail.com. Drop us a note. All right, moving on quickly. Nick Hodson, will you be testing more cruisers in the future? We talked about this. The Kawasaki Vulcan or Indian Scout. So yeah, we covered that one. Yes, I really want to do that. I've just got to schedule it in. I'll whip through a few very quickly now, and then we'll do the final parish notices. Tony Huggins Haig, hi TMF. As a pilot and biker like yourself, have you got any tips for keeping your bike safe and sound when stopping at different locations when touring? Nothing mind-blowing really, just the usual precautions. I have trackers on all my bikes. The Monimoto is my current favourite top value for money one. If you haven't got a tracker, check out Monimoto. Again, done a review of those. Go and check those out. Get yourself a tracker, that's the first thing. And then do the obvious stuff. So big chain, big disc lock, and if you can, cover as well. So when I go on tour, depending on where I'm going, I tend to put a disc lock on, a chain, and the tracker. Don't have a cover actually that I use on my GS, but particularly if you're in London or somewhere and you're unfortunate enough to have to use a bike in London, because at the moment bikes are getting stolen there a lot, as we all know, then a cover as well is a massive deterrent to thieves apparently. So yeah, the usual stuff. I haven't got a clever answer to that, I'm afraid. Okay, that was who was that one? Tony Huggins, thank you. Shino Boo Blade. Is dropping helmets really bad? My one kind of have, but of the shell chipped off, notice it just now, which I patch up with some decal, lol. Sort of got the gist of that. Is dropping helmets really bad? Well, yes it is, but it's bad if you drop it because, of course, you could crack the outer and then obviously it's compromised and can't be used anymore. But if it's just a light drop and there's nothing in the helmet at the time, then there's no reason why the helmet can't be reused. I mean, don't take my word for it. Take it to a specialist and get them to check it if you do drop it. But the idea being, if you drop it and there's something of weight in it and it crushes the EPS liner, the polystyrene bit that slows down the acceleration of your head when you have an accident, then, of course, if that's crushed, crushed, then that's of no use to you in a crash. So then the helmet's useless again, so binned. So if the EPS is crushed in any way, bin it. If the outer is cracked in any way, bin it. If in doubt, get an expert to have a look. But if it's just a light drop on the floor, there's no visible damage, chances are you'll be all right. Don't trash a perfectly good helmet if you don't have to. But as I say, I'm no expert. Get an expert to check it. All right. Okay, better wrap up. Quick look at the live stream. Then I'll do some parish notices and maybe one or two more questions. We'll see how it's going, what we're doing. We're up to 57 minutes. Okay, better be quick then. Right, and we've still got 473 people on. That's amazing. Thank you. Steve, if you didn't have the GS, what adventure bike would you go for? Blimey. One of the Triumph 800s, possibly. It would be between the Triumph, the Tiger 800s, because they're brilliant now. I did love the big new Africa Twin Adventure Sport. Maybe a bit too tall for me, but that was an amazing bike. I also like the Yamaha Super Tenere. That was a lovely bike. But maybe I'll go for the KTM. Very difficult. Those four would all be well worth a closer look. Depends on the money situation at the time, of course. So yeah, it'd be one of them. Sorry, that's not a straight answer, but as I've said many times, all bikes are good these days. Okay, so make a note in your diary, just a couple of parish notices. Next live stream, Wednesday, September the 12th. Goodness me, September already. That one, 8 p.m. UK, go back to the normal time. Hopefully, that works for more people live. So that's when the next one's going to be, once again, Wednesday, September the 12th. Well, thanks to Custom Fit Guards. You see their little logo here. There it is. They sponsor these videos together with my bike news ones, so I appreciate that, those guys. If it wasn't for them, I couldn't carry on doing the Missenden Flyer. So thanks to Custom Fit Guards. They're the people that make these little earplugs that you'll see on my tour videos. They're custom fit, of course, hence the name. You can get them actually at the NEC. They're at the NEC this year. If you mention Flyer 10, you'll get a discount as well as a big smile if you mention my name, if you go and see them there at the NEC. But I recommend them. I wore them all the time on my Norway trip. Invaluable. So thanks to those guys. Don't forget I'm on Twitter and Facebook as well. Now, I'll post stuff on there that's obviously a bit more up to date. As I mentioned before, my sort of video schedule, if you like, runs on for some time in the future. So the stuff that you see on the videos isn't always bang up to date, whereas the stuff you see on Facebook and Twitter is. And also, I often use those platforms to test little ideas. Also, things like announcements and things like forthcoming live streams are there. So if you're not following me on Twitter and or Facebook, do follow me there, that would be great. I mentioned earlier about the bike show. It's a South African TV show about motorcycles. I don't know if you watch it. You can watch clips on YouTube. I think it's a great programme. I really enjoyed it. There's some interesting stuff happening with that show in September, which I may or may not be involved in. So I'll let you know on the next live stream, just a little teaser here, I'll let you know what's going on with that and what my involvement may be. So that's the bike show. In the meantime, look it up on YouTube and see what you think to that show. I think it's the best motorcycle show on the box. Unfortunately, in the UK, you can't watch it. You can only watch clips on YouTube, but more on that next time. Another thing, actually, while I'm talking about sponsorship, I'm always looking for new channel sponsors, by the way. If you know of or are a company that wants to get at 35,000 motorcycle eyes a day. That's how many viewers I get on average. 35,000 people a day watch my channel. Over 1 million views a month. Bit of a plug here. If you do want to get involved in sponsoring the channel, drop me a mail at themissendenflyer@gmail.com. It's on the ticker tape below. And let's have a chat. You wouldn't believe what good value I represent when compared particularly with the printed press. So yeah, always on the lookout for new sponsors. Get in touch if you're interested in that at all. I'm sure we can do a deal. Coming up on the channel, just said I'll tell you some of the stuff. Of course, loads more on the Arctic Circle trip. I'm still editing that series. It takes ages and ages to edit it. In fact, it's taken me longer to edit the series than it did to actually ride the routes. And it's quite mind-boggling and eye-boggling when you do it. As I say, I think I'm just done or working on episode 8. I think there might be 9 in total. So those are coming up every Friday for the next at least 8 weeks. So do watch those. Keep watching them, as I say, because there's some real gems coming up, particularly towards the end of that. I'm really pleased that the first one seems to have gone down well. Let's hope you continue to like that. I've had the GSX-R 1000R on loan from Suzuki over the last few weeks. It seems Suzuki are dishing these out to everybody at the moment. I've had my go at it too. I've got 3 videos coming up on that. That was an amazing bike. If you're into your sports bikes, look out for that. I've got some reviews of a couple of helmets coming up, actually, including the new Shark S-Track, which is this thing here. This helmet, this has kind of replaced my, I can't remember what it used to be called. It's now called just the Drac, but Shark came out with another helmet which looks sort of cyborgy, which I got this to replace. Got a review of that coming up. Look out for that. That's a great helmet if you like scaring small children and old people at crossings. That's coming up, as well as some other kit reviews as well. Look out for those. I've got my next Bike News Monthly, of course, is coming up. I've got some good old-fashioned vloggage and lots more coming up as well. So all sorts of stuff to look out for on the Missenden Fly. It'd be great to have you along. Don't forget again to make a note in your diary. Wednesday, September the 12th, 8 PM UK time is the next one. Okay, I've been going for 2 minutes over an hour. Quick look at the live chat before I say cheerio. Please pick some better music for the drone footage. Tar. Thanks, Slack. The issue with that, by the way, just seriously, is obviously you can only use copyright-free stuff. The music that was on that drone footage is from YouTube's copyright-free music library. That's why I've used it. It's very hard for me to use any other music. Once you get over a certain number of views per month on YouTube, you have to start to pay quite a lot of money to use music. Even on the so-called copyright-free sites, it would cost me more money than I earn from YouTube to pay for copyrighted music to use. So that's why I have to go with the copyright free thing. So hopefully that answers your question. Sorry you don't like the music. I try not to do lots of music on my videos, but on the drone stuff, of course, there is no sound. You would just hear the buzzing of the engine like a flying chainsaw. So that's why I have to put music over that. It's either music or commentary. Maybe I'll do more commentary in the future. Okay, thanks then. See you, Ian. Everybody's saying cheerio now, so you obviously want me gone. That's good. Thanks very much. Oh, sorry, Will, that you missed most of it, but it'll be on the recording, so you can catch that up. But thanks for joining anyway. Give us a tune on your guitar before you go. Oh, run out of time. What a bummer. Next time, maybe. No chance. All right, everybody then. Thanks very much for watching. Look forward to speaking to you next time. Keep your eyes on the channel. Lots more to come. And hope that's been of some interest to you. And until next time, this has been the Missenden Fly. Cheerio.